Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 183 of the I Rock Knits podcast. If you're new here, my name is Cori Eichelberger, and I'm a knitwear designer, and I love color. I'm so glad to have you. And if you're a returning viewer, it's been a number of years, and so I really appreciate that you're still coming over to listen to me go on and on about my passion, knitting. I do have a Patreon community and there's absolutely no pressure, but after doing this for almost 7 years, I just wanted to get to know some of the people who've been watching a little better. So every other month I have a knit night where we get together on Zoom and knit for an hour and share what we're knitting, and then we have a Patreon book club every other month. And we read a book. So this month we are reading This Is the Way It Always Is by Lori Frankel. And we'll be discussing that on Monday, October 20th at 6 p.m. So if you're interested in joining, go over and become a Patreon member. You can do it for as little as $2, $4, or $10 a month. The $10 members get every pattern I publish for free. But yeah, it just gets you into the group and you get a little bit more information from me, giveaway every month, and boy do I have some great giveaways coming up for Patreons in the next few months. I had a friend just donate a whole ton of project bags and yarn, and so it's really gonna be fun, and all the Patreons are the winners. So yeah, thanks for joining me. It finally cooled off. This weekend was so hot. It was 92 degrees on Saturday, and it was Yarnover. And that is kind of the official start of fall for us here in Minnesota. It has been in September and October for a couple of years, and it's that kind of first back to knitting event that we have in our state. And I went with a group of friends on Saturday afternoon. I browsed through the vendor market, and one of the markets was hot and one of the markets was freezing. They have two different rooms at the Crown Plaza in Plymouth, Minnesota. And so I did buy two little things. I'm really trying not to add to my stash since all of my design work right now is being done through collaborations. So I'm getting yarn, so I'm not using stash yarn at all. I have hardly finished anything for myself in a while. So yeah, I'm trying just not to add to stash because I'm getting beautiful free yarns to work with as a designer. But I did get some buttons from the Button Lady, and I love buying buttons. So this little set, our little, what does it say? Small red glass Czech 1930s, so Czechoslovakia from the 1930s. I have a couple of different cards like this of Czechoslovakian glass beads. They're really fun. This will remind me to tell you about a project I've been doing. And then I got these 12 small assorted auroras, and look at these. Aren't they fun? Wouldn't that be fun to put on a sweater, you know? So I have some ideas coming up for some sweaters with buttons and hats with buttons and things so that we can use some beautiful buttons. But yes, when I came home, I do have a box of these in I have a little armoire in our bedroom. It's from when we were first married. And it opens in the front and has this little shelf, and that's where I keep all of my buttons. And my buttons were divided into 3 jars. Big round jars, kind of like this one over here that I have yarn in now. It has a lid and it's just like a fishbowl kind of jar, and they were overfull. And I had sorted them once into color, and then I had been shoving, you know, different packages of yarn, beads, and yeah, it was kind of a mess. And so I went on Amazon, as you are wont to do, and I bought this keeper, which you can add to. You can add this bottom piece. So I added one because it came with 3, which I don't think I would have needed. I could have gotten it in just the 3, but it's really heavy now. And so I sorted all of my buttons by color, which they kind of were in little Ziploc bags shoved in that. And then this is kind of how I store them. I put dental floss through groups of beads so that they're not all just helter-skelter in there. I do have like helter-skelter orange in the bottom of this bin where you just have like a whole, oh, I'm caught, but you just have a whole bunch of, you know, orange buttons that are singles. I can mix and match with other, but then if there are more than one, I just tie them together. So I had been pretty good at keeping them separated, but a lot of them come in these little plastic bags like this, right? And so these are all blue buttons that are tiny in this little bag, and I didn't string them onto something, but I did string, and sometimes I only have a couple of blue, you know, just 2 on this one. But that's what's working for me right now, is just to have them strung together and be able to go in and just find the buttons that I need. If you have been here for a while, you know that I designed the boxed button hat and beanie, and you sew different buttons on. And for kids, you can do all of the different fun little, you know, I have little fruits in here. So I have a little apple. And then in this one, I have some little orange gnome buttons that I bought. And some of you saw when that came out, the little monster buttons. And then I have that button best bobber hat that had the fish on it, and so I had a few fish left over, and so that's in one of these drawers. Then I just labeled the front of it by color. I just put, you know, orange, pink, black, silver, and man, is this nice to be able to look at. And it only took me one evening just sitting watching TV. I'm a night owl, I stay up really late, so it just took me one evening staying up really late. So the cards will go in the shoebox that's in that area, and then I took 3 jars of buttons out and put them into this. And I think that this will be a better situation for me going forward. I just sorted, each drawer slides out. It has a little clip here, and so then they're just sorted by, these are all silver, these are all clear or shiny, and then these are all brown. Yeah, so I got that done. And so when I came home with these new cards, I was like, oh, it probably was not the task that I should have been doing. But when fall hits for me, I am all about organizing and cleaning out. You know, when you get in that mood to just throw things away, you've got to go for it, right in that moment. So next up is my closet, where I'm going to get rid of some stuff. I have some things that just need to go that I haven't worn in years. And yeah, and then I kind of did my yarn closet a little redo, because I saw on the Nextdoor app a lady who was starting a new business scanning photos. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she's a graphic artist, designer, and she bought a high-end scanner. And I have wanted to do this for 8 years. Since we had kids living with us one summer from college, when our daughter didn't come home, her 2 dear friends needed somewhere to stay, so they lived with us. And I told her one friend, your job this summer, the only thing that you have to pay us is to scan photos. I'll buy the scanner and we'll get it going. It never happened. It just never happened. And this gal was on the Nextdoor app was offering to do some people to get her business up and running at a cheaper rate. And I said, I don't even care at this point what you charge me. So literally on my dining room table right now, I have 7 boxes of photos. And I sat Sunday during football, during the Vikings game, and I sorted 2 or 3 of the boxes. And I'm fairly organized, so a lot of these photos that are on this table were in these little clear things. I think you get the little plastic box at Costco, and then these stick in there, and they're 12 in each one. And so like I have Easter 2009, I have, you know, Kylie from when she was a little girl, pictures, Kylie's birthday. I had them kind of sorted, but in each box there were duplicates, and you know, and then you take pictures of things that you don't need scanned, right? Like we went to a dude ranch in Montana and I was going through that box and I took pictures of like the valley 14 times when you can't really even see down the mountainside. So you need to maybe keep one and throw all the rest away. They just had not been sorted. And I got a huge garbage sack full of photos to get rid of. And then she came over and picked up the first batch on Sunday to get started. And so now I have all these, they're photo boxes, but they're full. And a lot of them have dividers in them where I took recipe cards and divided out what they were at one time. I was quite organized, but I have a whole box of pictures of knitting stuff, and I don't really know if that stuff needs to be scanned. So I don't know. She's charging me $40 for 100 pictures. I don't know if that's good or not, but honestly, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I figured after I get her started and see how much it's going to be, I'll just do as many as I want, and she'll give me a flash drive and they can go right on the computer. She recommends that then you keep everything. You keep all your paper ones and all your, I was hoping to just dump all the paper ones now and just kind of get rid of them. They were on the very top shelf of the yarn closet, these boxes, super heavy boxes. And I don't think anyone has looked at them in 20 years since we moved in here. These are all old since cameras, right? Cameras and phones. We don't print pictures anymore. And, you know, we just have them digitally. And so my photos from my phone are all on my computer, but these aren't. So I don't know. Tell me what you're doing. How are you keeping your photos? Is anybody ever going to want them? Although we had a really good time during the game. I would hand Ross a picture and we'd laugh and he'd say, oh, that was my dad, you know, because his parents have both passed. And yeah, so like looking at old photos can be really fun and nostalgic. But so I did the button organization because I had my sewing basket was in that closet up on the top. It was one of those sewing boxes with a handle, and then all these photos, and I got them all down. I put them all on this dining room table. It's just stacked high. And so, yeah, I'm just in that mood of like getting it organized, getting stuff put away for winter to hibernate so you can just knit and get these things off your shelf. So yeah, I'll put the link to this in the show notes, although I think it would work for just about anyone. The top opens this way and the rest are just these 3 drawers. And I have a ton of buttons, so they all fit in here quite well. Anyway, so there, all that to say, I bought these 2 and I did some organizing. And then the other thing that I bought was this kid's book called Over the Moon, A Sheep's Tale. And this is going to my great nieces. I went to Sioux Falls, South Dakota to teach a weekend ago. And I was explaining to my 5 and 10-year-old nieces, great nieces, my nephew's kids, that Fleece makes my yarn that I knit with. And one of them was playing chimes in my parents' church on Sunday morning, and one of them was singing. And so are you going to come? And I said, yes, I will come. So I went to my parents' church and they played and sang. And then the kindergartners got these, I didn't know this was happening, but these kindergartners got these little prayer pillows. They got a little stone with a heart on it that they put in the little prayer pocket in the front. I didn't know that was happening, but she got one with sheep on it. And she came back and she said, yarn. And I don't think they understand the concept of how fleece goes to yarn, but they knew that Aunt Corey, which is what they call me, likes sheep a lot. And so I thought, when I saw this book there, I thought, okay, I'm going to look and see. This is about the sheep that wants to jump over the moon and the cow gets to do it. And so it isn't about fleece processing, but I know that there are a couple out there because I've given them to other kids. My nephew, when he was little. So yeah, they all know that I'm knitter, and they just, and you like all the colors. That's this little 5-year-old, you like all the colors. And I was wearing my shoes that have all the colors on them, and I said, I like all the colors, but orange is your favorite. I said, They're so cute at that age, as long as you can go home afterwards, because they have a 10, a 5, and a 2-year-old, and they came over on Friday night to my parents' house, and afterwards we were all just like, because they want to play, and talk, and sit next to you and climb up and down. And yeah, it was really fun. So that's what I bought at Yarnover this year. I did not take a class. I thought I had signed up for a class, and I went to look. I hadn't, but we went and played bingo on Saturday night. So a bunch of us went to dinner between the market and bingo, and then we went and played bingo. Only one, Mary Brown, who you've seen on the podcast before, won a prize, but the rest of us did not. So we were not bingo winners. But I think that's kind of the new thing to do at some of these events, is to have an evening activity. So yeah, it was fun. We went, and dinner was great. And then I came home fairly early and got up really early to watch my Vikings play on Sunday morning in London. And so the game was at 8:30, which for this night owl is early. It's not early for the 5:30 a.m. husband, but most people don't stay up till 2 like I do. So, you're either sleeping on this end or that end. Okay, let's talk a little bit about my new design that came out. This is my surprise stripes Dumplin bag. This was a collaboration with Stacy of Mustache Yarns. This is her candy corn colorway. It is a fingering weight bag, same as the others, 5x8 cast on at the bottom, make I-cord or use shoelaces. Video tutorial for how to do this top casing, which is not difficult at all, and once you do it the first time. So I have 2 ladies who are making all the Dumplin bags, and they're making multiples for grandkids for Christmas to carry their treasures. So this would make a perfect trick-or-treat bag for a kid, unless you're going to 150 houses or something like that. But it does have this felted purse liner inside of it that you can get to fit. I put a little piece of cardboard in the bottom of this one. It came in a box with some other stuff, and the bottom was a little smashed, so now it's completely flat. It's working just fine. But yeah, so they're really fun to carry. I have them all up here now. So the Wear It With Pride, Spring Fever Day, Lollipop Park, Pretty Boxes, the Loop-de-Doo, which is not one of the ones in the collection. That's the collaboration with Twice Sheared Sheep. I do have it here. That one has the little loops across the top that you can hang your little favorite stitch markers on. The knit-along starts any day now. For this, you can get your kit, 21 colors of yarn, DK weight. It does have a textured stitch, and then you get a mini skein. So you can go over to Twice Sheared Sheep if you want to order the kit, or you can just buy the pattern on Ravelry and use your own skein of DK weight yarn. That, that works too. But we are having a knit along. They're going to have a Zoom night for people that are doing the knit along. So yeah, I kind of had multiple bags come out closer together because that was not planned when I originally did this. So I didn't plan to have one in August and 2 in September, but that's just kind of what happened. So yeah, this one I think is really cute, and it knits up quickly because it's DK weight. This one being fingering weight, I used a 2 and a 3, but I did have 2 testers say that they would use a 1 and a 2. It would make the fabric a little denser, and now in hindsight it would have made the stripes a little more broad, and I would have gotten the black to go a little bit further in that stripe. I mean, that doesn't bother me. It's kind of like pooling, but it would have been a double black line had I done a smaller gauge, I think, in the round. So totally up to you if you want to go down a needle size on something like that. But yeah, so I have that all coming out. I am right now juggling 2 test knits. I have 20 knitters knitting my vest pattern that will come out at Sacred Sheep. That has been kind of a kerfuffle, but also really good learning experience for everyone, because the first iteration we decided that the underarm shaping was a little too narrow I wanted this to be a unisex design so that it could be knit for men or women, and men, definitely being broader, don't want that kind of tank top look necessarily that a woman might get on a vest. And so we had to broaden that a little bit. And so now it is a broader width at the top of the vest. I kind of like it that way. Somebody could certainly do a couple more decreases if they wanted it to come in a little bit more, but I do have several men knitting the pattern, and I would like to knit one for my husband. I think he would like it in a tone on tone colorway. Mine, of course, is bright and highly contrasty. But yeah, those will go about in just over a month. That pattern will be live. And then I'm working on November and December's Dumplin bags. So I have that. Those testers are just finishing up right now. So yeah, busy, busy, busy. Which leads me to my biggest change that's going to be happening here. My husband took me out to dinner and said, can we go out to dinner just to check up and catch up with one another? And then he said, I think you're overextended. I think you're doing a little too much. I have been sick the whole month of September, and I have traveled a ton. So I've been to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, 5 hours away, flew to Dallas, and then came home, and then went to Sioux Falls, and then came back. I go to Michigan in a couple of weeks. Yarnover was yesterday. I teach next weekend. I am a little bit busy. I am loving it, but my body and my brain are saying, maybe it's too much. He said, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying that no one can keep up this pace. He said, is there something that could give? And I said, absolutely. First I got defensive, as we do. But then, in hindsight, I was taking a look, and I am stressed sometimes over doing all the design work, traveling, teaching. And it's a lot of paperwork for contracts when you teach with different companies. They all want your handouts, your homework ahead of time. They want it labeled for their event. They want it sent. The contract has to be sent in, and then you have to get it back from them. There's just a lot of email and paperwork, which I don't mind doing, but I have fallen behind on some things. So this is my change going forward. Instead of doing 2 podcasts every other week, where I do one for my Patreons where I just talk like this, and one that is chatting with friends that I share on the internet for everybody, not just Patreons, I am going to just alternate them. I've been struggling a little bit to get some friends to chat with. As far as scheduling goes, everybody is busy this fall. And so it's been a little difficult. So I've had a couple of weeks where I didn't have a guest, where I had to postpone a guest. And so I thought, you know what, that would be easiest for me. It'd be better for me and my mental health and my marriage. No, I'm just kidding. If I did a Corey chatter podcast, and then I did a chatting with friends podcast. So that's what I'm going to do. Every other week, there'll just be 1 instead of 2. I spend 2 full days every other week, Sunday and Monday, doing all that editing of the podcast and getting it up on YouTube. And it is getting to be a lot after 7 years of this. So I thought, okay, let's try that for a few months. I'll still have a podcast out there. It just won't be 2. And I do think 2 is too much to watch for some people. And so I had been thinking about alternating weeks anyway, like so that they both didn't come out on the same Monday, late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. So yeah, let me know if you're all okay with that. I don't think anybody's going to say, hey, I think you should take on more and be gone more and be doing more. Yeah, I took on this book club at my church because no one else would step up. And so that's another commitment that I took on. I love reading and I love the book club, and I had been going for years. And the gal who had done it for many, many, many years retired, and no one would pick it up. And as a teacher, I said, that wouldn't be that hard. I can certainly send out the emails each month. I can do that. And then no one wanted to lead either. So I'm also leading and doing the discussion questions, and once a month. And I like it. But again, it's another thing on my plate that I probably shouldn't have maybe said yes to, but I like to show up for things that need people to show up. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm going to change things up a little bit. I need a little more knitting time, to be perfectly honest. I'm very, very capable right now of managing all of the travel and all the teaching and all the computer work. The part that's really I'm struggling with is to get the knitting done of the designs because I'm just not home and I'm not sitting down. So yeah, there we go. So what have I been watching? On Netflix, I watched 2 seasons of Doc, D-O-C, about the woman who is a medical doctor who gets in a car accident and loses her memory of 8 years. This is based on a true story of a doctor who lost 12 years of his memory in an accident and what that was like to navigate that. But it takes place in Minneapolis. So it is supposedly based in Minneapolis at a Minneapolis hospital. And yeah, it's really good. Very interesting. She does not remember things, but she's been a doctor for 20 years. So she remembers her doctoring. But prior to the accident, she was a different personality. And that is also interesting because they go back and forth in time to show her before and now. And she does a really good job of playing both roles. So I'd highly recommend. It's called Doc, D-O-C. And then have you guys come across on Instagram, this is going to sound irreverent, but it's called Dead Greg's Recipes. And you have to go look it up. So it is a guy whose roommate's uncle died, and he left behind a giant bag of recipes. And the recipes were in little baggies separated by type, but they're all handwritten and they're very abbreviated. And so the one guy who's more of a chef is making all of Dead Greg's recipes. And it sounds off-putting, but it's really interesting because he spins a wheel like Wheel of Fortune, and then it'll say like dessert, and then he'll go in the dessert bag and he'll just reach in and pull one out, and then he'll try to read the recipe to you to tell you what the ingredients are, and then he'll make it, and then he and his roommate try it. It's quite fun as far as like looking to see what they're making and whether or not they like it. And this guy had some really good recipes in his bag. So yeah, I'll link that down below if you're interested in going over and looking at that. All you have to do is look up Dead Greg's. That's what it comes up under. His name is David Zarko.
So my roommate's estranged, alcohol-loving uncle died, and this was his cook bag of recipes. I've written down every chapter on this wheel, and I'm going to make one. I'm David Zarko, and this is Dead Greg's Recipes.
So that's how it goes every time. I have really enjoyed seeing the recipes. I'm kind of a recipe lover. I like to try new ones all the time, and I like to see people making recipes all the time. So yeah, it may or may not tickle your fancy. Okay, what are some things I saw on the internet this last time? There is a website out there called yarnsaver.com, and they are taking yarn from people and selling it at a discount. I had not seen it before, or if I'd come across it, I had forgotten about it. So I wanted to share it with everyone. Just go to yarnsaver.com and you could take a look at the yarns that are being sold at a discount. And then the new Shetland Wool Week just wrapped up. And although someday I would hope to get there and kind of be there, they put out the Shetland Wool Week hats every time. And I don't love the hat this time. I've seen it knit up a couple times. I don't know if it's the color or the pattern. I don't love it as much as I've loved other ones. But because I get their email from Shetland Wool Week, they have a sale right now on their Shetland film series. And there are 4 videos that they have produced about knitting. So there's one on fleece, one on lace, one on Fair Isle, and one on finishing. So you can get the 4 videos for $25 £24 sterling at the Shetland Wool Week shop. Yeah, so I thought I would share that as well because they did look really interesting. I love to sit and knit and watch knitting videos and podcasts and TV, basically. By 9 o'clock at night, I'm in the chair. I've already taken the dog to the dog park today. It was only 52 degrees when I woke up this morning, so very cold. 92 to 52, right? Like, that's a big swing. And then I did go into the doctor. I don't know if I mentioned that before. I don't think so, because my husband didn't think I should go to Sioux Falls and see my parents and teach if I still had this cold. It is better. It's just not gone. I have this sore throat off and on. So I went in and he said, you're not contagious. It's just postnasal drip. You just have a, sore throat when you wake up in the morning. You're dry. Your nose is still a little stuffed. It could be allergies. I said, I've really never had allergies, but I am sneezing all the time. So he said, no, you're good to go. And I said, okay, thank you so much. But I looked down and he had on my ring. He had on my ring that I wear on my thumb, which I forgot to put on, so I'll put a picture in. But I said, do you have a knitting ring? And he said, what did he say? He said, no, I have chevrons and arrows or something like that. And I'm like, those are totally knit stitches. Yeah, it was really interesting. Very young doctor. He was a resident. He finishes in the spring of this year. He'll be done. And but he did, he looked in my ear, and this ear has kind of been plugged off and on, and yeah, so I was perfectly fine. But we had the same ring, which was, I thought, kind of fun. And what audiobooks have I read this week? I finished The Vows by Jessica Joyce, which looked like a corny rom-com. The cover was kind of a little cartoonish. It was really good. It was really good. I liked it a lot, so I would highly recommend. Estranged exes must stick close together to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters in this swoony and steamy second chance romance. So yeah, they have to go to this wedding. They broke up 5 years ago, but they both still love each other. So you're just wondering if are they going to get together or not get together? And yeah, it was well written. And the characters were well developed, and I ended up really, really enjoying it. I didn't think I would. And then I listened to The Little Village of Book Lovers by Nina George. She wrote The Little Paris Bookshop, and she made reference in that first book to a book, and people kept asking her if that was a book or if she was going to write it. And so this is the book that would have come out of the previous. As a girl, Marie-Jean realizes that she can see the marks love has left on people around her. Tiny glowing lights on the faces and hands that shimmer more brightly when the one meant for them is near. Before long, Marie-Jean is playing matchmaker, bringing true loves together in her village. This was good, not as great as some. It was fine. I didn't love it. It was short. It was only 7 hours. Most adult novels are running that 10 to 12 hour range anymore on audio, but it was okay. It was pretty good. And then I think I may have listened to my best book of the year. Like, I have a few. I always pick a top 5, but this was so good. Frederick Bachman's My Friends. Sometimes you're just in the mood for a certain type of book, a certain way that something is written. This has some quirky characters. It's an interesting premise. Just really, really good. Most people don't even notice them. 3 tiny figures sitting at the end of a long pier in the corner of one of the most famous paintings in the world. Most people think it's just a depiction of the sea, but Louisa, an aspiring artist herself, knows otherwise, and she is determined to find out the story of these 3 enigmatic figures. 25 years earlier, in a distant seaside town, a group of teenagers find refuge from their bruising home lives of spending long summer days on an abandoned pier, telling silly jokes, sharing secrets, and committing small acts of rebellion. These lost souls find in each other a reason to get up each morning, a reason to dream, and a reason to love. This is the story of these kids who are poor and disadvantaged and who get together through a series of circumstances and make each other's lives better. And then Louisa really needs to find out about this painting years later, and they go back in time to tell the story of the painting. Oh, I don't even know if I can do it justice. It's just, he writes so meaningfully. His turn of phrase is incredible. Like, you will laugh out loud at the way he says things sometimes. The storyline was really just so fascinating. I won't go on and on. 5+ stars. So good. Highly recommend. Okay, I am teaching at the Nome Schoolhouse next month. There are a few spots left if you would like to join me for a weekend retreat in Nome, North Dakota, which is 45 miles west of Fargo. There's nothing else up there, but we have a really good time. So go to gnomeschoolhouse.com to kind of check that out. This one's out of town for 3 days, so I don't have to cook supper. I can just have a little sandwich for myself. Or popcorn or cereal. What do you do when somebody's out of town and you don't have to cook a meal? You just kind of take the evening off. That's what I'm doing. We ate leftovers this weekend, so they're gone. Let's do the giveaway for the month. For the Patreon giveaway, this is a huge prize. I'm going to have some big prizes for a little while here, but I have 6 skeins of this Jadifra Lana Mio yarn. It is merino sock wool. It is 80% wool and 20% poly. It is in 6 colors. There are 2 blue and then 2 purple, a red, and a black. So you honestly could stripe a Cori sweater because there's tons of yardage on these. About 400 yards on each one. So you've got 6 skeins, so you have a ton. Or if you were a sock knitter, you are going to love just making a ton of socks. You could also hold it double and just bang out some presents for hats, or, you know, hold the fingering double. And then I have this darling bag that I thought I would stick that yarn in. Isn't it cute? It's so cute. Oh my goodness. It's one of those Attenti bags. It's got pockets on the inside, a nice suede handle. And this week's winner is Becky Saunders. So congratulations, Becky. You are getting the yarn and the bag. Send me your address via Cori@irocknits.com, or you can go over to Instagram or Ravelry iRockKnits and just send me a message with your address in it, and I will get this out in the mail to you. That's kind of all I have for you guys this week. If you have any questions for Cori's Fixer Upper, if you have problem knits or problems that need solutions, please send me an email and let me know. That would be great, so I would have some content for that. This week I am interviewing a project bag maker locally here to me, and so that will be in 2 weeks on the next podcast, Chatting with Friends. Thanks for coming. Bye.